Action.
So the first thing we're gonna do, once the event's over, we wanna let people know that the photo booth isn't working anymore. So we're gonna power this off, okay? And then what we're gonna do here is take this squiggly cord out. We're gonna disconnect the power cord, just like that. You just gotta wiggle it a little bit. The next step, be careful, because this metal thing right here is gonna be very hot. We wanna twist this counterclockwise, this little star dial, and that'll loosen the hole for the umbrella. We're gonna pull that straight out. We're gonna close the umbrella and set it down for now. Okay, the next step, if you wanna come over onto this side, we're gonna twist this counterclockwise, and that'll allow us to pull this up. Now, in order to store this is very important for later, we're gonna have to pull this lever down and point this little guy backwards. And then we can pull that guy back there, okay? And since this is hot and the bulb is hot, we're just gonna set this down. Try to set it somewhere where you're not gonna step on it. A table would be easier, but just for now, we're gonna set it right there, okay? The next step is we are going to take this Allen wrench and we're gonna pop it in here and we're gonna loosen it clockwise. Sorry, I thought I went the other way. So once that's down, set that down. We're gonna push our finger up on this screw, and with a little bit of pressure, it'll allow us to twist this silver pole off. Just by holding that screw up, we'll be able to twist this out. Now make sure you catch the screw, make sure it doesn't fall down, and to make sure that we keep both of these together, we're gonna put the screw back into the pole. I'm gonna set that aside as well. Okay, the next step is we're gonna take these two cords from the flash and we're going to feed it into the booth. The reason being, and make sure that we do it gently. The reason being is because when the booth is stored, it doesn't have room for the cords. But with the cords inside, we'll be able to store the booth as a whole. The next step, we're gonna take this little guy in here. Hopefully you could see, there's a switch on the top right of the camera. Now make sure, do not turn this knob. We're not gonna turn that knob. We're just looking for this little switch sticking out. We're gonna pull that toward us. That's the off button, okay? The next step is we're going to unplug this power cord here on the left. You'll see that that light slowly dies out. And the last cord we're gonna mess with in here is the far left. It's the USB into the printer. The USB port labeled printer. So now we're gonna take these two cords, the ones we just unplugged, and we're going to pull the photo booth off of this top pole. And as we do that, we're gonna make sure that these two cords go through, and that way we can have the photo booth by itself. All right, so we're gonna set this down here, and we're going to lift this up. So you're gonna wanna twist the booth off of that top pole. You could see that this pole's trying to come with it. So we're just gonna hold this down and push it up, okay? Once we get it off of the pole, I'm almost there. Okay, once we get it off the pole, now we can feed those two cords through the hole and let them hang off, okay? So this part is the main booth. We're just gonna set it down for now. Now, you might have noticed the photo booth is still on. So what we're going to do is grab this handy little keyboard. Make sure you turn it on with the switch on the left there. We're gonna hold the FN button for function and press F1. Okay, that'll open up this settings screen. We're gonna press quit and okay. So once that quits, we're gonna go to the Windows button there, press the power button on the bottom right, and shut down. Now while that does that, we're gonna set, we can turn this keyboard off. We're gonna set that down and we're gonna start loading up the boxes. So there are two boxes here. This one is for the printer. and the shell that the printer is underneath. And this bigger box is for the photo booth. It also holds the 2 poles and the flash. So we're gonna grab this guy here. You wanna make sure you don't, you keep this together. Okay, we're gonna grab this top piece right here. So the top piece comes out, we're gonna set that down. And then we're also gonna grab this guy. This is what holds the flash. So remember earlier, the flash was hot. So by now it's been a couple minutes, it's cooled down. So we're gonna take the top of the flash, there's these little butterfly wings here. We're gonna press that in, and you can see when I press it in, it releases the hood. So make sure you're very gentle with it because you don't wanna yank on it and break either of those very expensive bulbs. So we're gonna place this hood there, and we're gonna replace it with this guy. So same thing, we're gonna press on the butterflies, and we're gonna make sure that this hood is all the way in. Or, I'm sorry, that the teeth are all the way inside of the hood. And now, remember what we mentioned earlier, we have this guy facing backwards and this guy facing backwards. And the reason being is because when you place it in here, it perfectly fits snug. All right, we're gonna grab this pole here that we left on the ground earlier, and we're gonna grab the light, and we're gonna set it to the side. Now, this pole with the screw fits right in the top. Okay, so we're set with that. Now let's grab the photo booth and make sure when you pick it up, make sure that you keep the door closed, all right? So we're gonna put it camera face down, and with this little pole, it's gonna be facing inward, and then this guy just pushes right down, okay? Next step, we're gonna take the poles out. So there's pole number 1. Let's set that down. And pole number 2. And we're gonna take these 2 poles, make sure this tooth here is on the left side on the top, and it'll fit right in there. And you can actually see here that there's space for the tooth to be at the top. All right, and it doesn't matter, you could do both here or you could do both here. That part doesn't matter. So once the 2 poles are here, we're gonna pop this light right back where it was, just like that. And next we have this open area here. This is gonna hold all of the cables. So let's take these things. Oh, before I forget, very, very important. This Allen wrench is what closes the booth. So there's a very specific spot for it. It's on the top right of the top foam piece inside the photo booth. So just make sure that once you load the booth, we don't need the Allen wrench anymore. We put it right back where it was. All right. And then we're gonna place the business cards there. So next step, we're gonna take these cables and unplug everything from the back of the printer. And we're gonna unplug the cords from this little guy. It's called a Belkin, the surge protector. So we're gonna take those cords out and unplug everything from this piece. So that's gonna be by itself. And then we can pull these cords out. So now I did forget one thing. You are supposed to turn off the printer, and the way to do that is down here. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter because I already unplugged it, but make sure that you turn the printer off. And then we'll come back to this in a second. So once you unplug all these cords, pull them out. So there's gonna be 4 distinctive cords and 1 surge protector. So there's a short cord. This goes from the surge protector to the printer. There's a thin cord. This goes from the printer to the USB port that we pulled out earlier. And then there's a medium power cord. And this goes from the surge protector to from the surge protector up to the photo booth. Now, there's gonna be one last cord. This is the fourth one. And this is gonna be the 25-foot extension cable that for now, we're just gonna set this down. So we won't be able to close the booth yet because next we're gonna learn how to break down the backdrop. So with regards to this shell, you wanna make sure that you put a little bit of pressure here and that we turn this counterclockwise to take these butterfly bolts off. So make sure not to lose these. And there's 3 total. Okay, so once that's there, these 2 pieces separate. Now we're gonna store these by keeping them on here. So make sure to put them back and that way we don't lose them. All right, and packing up the printer. So what we're gonna do here is there's a little button right here, spring-loaded button. We're gonna press this up, pull this forward. We're gonna pinch this little blue guy right here. There's a blue switch. We're gonna pinch this forward. It's gonna open up automatically. We're gonna empty out this tray. Now, if you don't empty this tray out, then the next person that uses the photo booth will have a hard time because all these pieces will be stuck inside the printer and it'll make a jam. So we're gonna empty out that tray. We're gonna put it right back with the flat side in the front. We're gonna close that lid and close the tray. So once you dispose of these, just make sure you find a trash can nearby. And we're gonna pick up the printer. It's a little bit heavy, so make sure you bend with your knees. So looking down at the photo booth storage case, you can see that there's a little backwards L shape on the photo booth, on the printer. And so what we're gonna do is load it to match this backwards L shape here. And so we're gonna place it into the space, nice and snug. And then we're gonna take the enclosure for the photo booth printer and we're gonna lay it this way. So the open end is gonna go over the backwards L side of the printer. If you put it this way, it's not gonna work. So there's just enough space to where when you lay this down, you can press it straight down without any issues. Now last, with regards to 2 more steps regarding the printer box. We're gonna lay this guy in here. And again, you match up the L on the foam with this little angle, the L in the box. We're gonna lay that down. We're gonna load this guy. Remember this guy with the 3 butterfly bolt nuts. We're gonna set that in there. And last but not least, we're gonna take this guy, close the tray, make sure that this arrow is pointed up and to the right, not to the left, on the right side. And this is gonna slide right into that spot. Once those are in there, then you can close this and load that into your car. All right, so following that, we have these 3 cables and the surge protector. We're gonna take these and load them all into the photo booth box. So I think it's easiest if you put the surge protector first because it takes up a weird, it fits better if you put it in first. Then you put those cords. And so now all we're missing from that photo booth box is the extension cord. So we're gonna unplug the extension cord. And we're gonna roll it up, hand and elbow. We're gonna roll it up like so. And then this is gonna fit, make sure to kind of tighten it a little bit. And this guy's gonna fit right into this space here. And that extension cord is going to be the last piece of the photo booth box. So just to double check, we have the 4 cords, the surge protector, the photo booth, we have the 2 poles, we have the flash mechanism, we have the hood for the flash. When we put this on here, we have the Allen wrench, we have the pole that connects to the flash, and we also need the keyboard. So we're missing the keyboard. I'm glad that we noticed that. So you got to make sure that you put the keyboard, and we are also missing the umbrella. Remember, we set those down earlier. So we grab the umbrella, we grab the keyboard, and we put the umbrella back into its sleeve, and that fits right there beautifully. Make sure the keyboard is switched down, make sure it's powered off. We pop that in there. So we did our check. We have the keyboard, umbrella, the flash pole, and the Allen wrench. There's actually 2 Allen wrenches here, but this top right one is the most important. So this one on the bottom left is always going to be there, but it's a little bit smaller and I'm not too sure what it fits into. So the most important one, Allen wrench wise, is this top right one. All right, so once those are all packed, we're going to close that. 3, 4, and 5, and the photo booth box is done. Now last but not least, we have the backdrop. So if your backdrop has clamps, you want to make sure to take the clamps off one by one, and then take the clamps off on the other side one by one. If it's a little too tall for you, we'll lower it, and then we'll be able to take the clamps off the top. So let's open up this backdrop case. We're gonna open that, and inside here there will be a bag, a nice big gallon Ziploc, and that's where you're gonna store all of the clamps. So we're gonna put the clamps in last because we want to make sure that everything else is in here nice and snug. Okay, so with regards to this backdrop, there are 2 turning mechanisms on each side. You're going to hold the bottom piece and you're going to twist the top piece, and when you twist it a little bit counterclockwise, it'll fall down. So we're going to leave that down, or loosened, I'm sorry, and then we're going to go to this side, hold, so you actually don't need to hold the bottom piece, you just hold the pole here and twist the top piece. Oh, I'm sorry, you do need to hold the bottom. Okay, so hold the bottom to loosen it, grab the top piece so it doesn't just slide all the way down, and then slightly counterclockwise twist this top screw until it drops down. And then we're gonna tighten it. Just because this is at an angle, we don't want it to bend. So we're gonna take off these clamps and lay the backdrop out. So these are the last 3 clamps. We're gonna pop them in there, close the Ziploc, make sure there's no air in there so it doesn't take up space, and set that to the side. So we're back to this. We're gonna grab this bottom piece, slightly twist this counterclockwise so it loosens. We're gonna hold the pole and then twist it a little bit more. So we don't want it to go too low. We'll stop right about there. We'll retighten that, and then we'll bring these guys back down so that way they're at the same level. We're gonna do the same thing here. And same thing here. Okay. Now, once both of these pieces are fully, the pole is all the way down on these 2 mechanisms, we're gonna twist off these guys. So on the outside of this top bar, this is a big, long screw. So we're just gonna twist this off until it comes out. Counterclockwise, of course. And just in case, so we don't lose this, we're actually gonna put this back into the Ziploc that the clamps are in. So, but before we do that, we're gonna hold this in our hand because it's very important. We're gonna loosen this guy counterclockwise, bring him in, tighten that back up. Now halfway, there's a little button here. We're gonna press on that button. We're gonna twist the open end off, okay? And that way this makes our job a little bit easier. And then we're gonna go to this opposite side and we're gonna twist this screw counterclockwise. Now once we have both screws out, we're gonna have the two poles separated. We're gonna do the same thing, but on the bottom. So it's the exact same process as the top bar, but just this time it's on the bottom. So we're going counterclockwise with this screw, and then we're gonna press on the button, and we're gonna twist this guy out, and then we're gonna go counterclockwise with the fourth and last screw. And we're just about done. So what you'll be left with, oh, look at that, I forgot one step. So we're gonna twist this guy, lower the pole, and now what we're left with are 4 poles that are virtually the same length, and we're left with 4 screws. So we're gonna put these screws into the bag that holds the clamps, and that way it's easy for the next person to find. All right. And we're gonna take these 4 poles and we're gonna set them to the side for now. And the reason being is because we have 2 more poles. So we're gonna lower that guy so it's the same length. It's actually, those ones standing up are gonna be slightly longer. These just pull right off. And then we're gonna do the same thing here, counterclockwise. Push that guy down a little bit, retighten it a little bit. So the 2 long ones are going to be about 8 inches longer than the other 4. And one of the last steps, we're going to grab these little weights here, and you're going to see that there's a space for them. Fits nice and snug inside this foam. And then we're going to grab this other piece, the other base, and pop that right in there. And now after that, we're gonna put the poles in here.
It's these.
What?